Right.
Yo. As usual, every Sunday from 6 to 8, we tap in to welcome you to Northwest Austin Council. So we thank you all for being here today. My fellas on Zoom, I know y'all like getting acquainted, but can I just do my intro real quick, and then I'm going to bring y'all right in, because today we welcoming y'all to the cookout. Now, the cookout is this idea where everybody just going to jump in and they're going to have a conversation with one another. We ain't going to do a whole lot of talking. We want to do some listening, and we want to hear what the community got to talk about, what they got to say. So we want to make sure they get their feel and they could eat too. You feel me? Now, as I always mention, this thing goes from 6 to 8 on Sundays. We got it on the Facebook. We got it on the YouTube. We got it on the Zoom. So if you can't find the link, ask for the link, because we got a link. You hear me? And you can tap in the way you want to tap in. Now, if you do the Zoom or the YouTube, you could comment. We could see the comments. We could read the comments. We could put them right on the screen, so you could be in tune with the show and get in tune with how you flow, right? Now, to my fellas on Zoom, give me 1 second to get through the intro. Just give me 1 second to get through the intro, guys. I swear. And I'm going to bring you right in, man. I know you're hungry. So, last thing I just want to say, for those listening, again, if you on the Facebook or the YouTube, you can always like, comment, say something. We can see it. We can reply to it. We could put other people on it so you could be in the conversation as well. That being said, man, as usual, man, how you feeling, Steve?
I'm feeling good today. We just finished up with the coalition meeting, which is our social political group that we work with.
Okay, hey, Bill, so you got it.
We've been doing that for about, I don't know, 7 years now, 6 years. But, feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good. I think we're going to have a good day today on the show.
All right. As usual, we do this thing with, we got a Los Damas listening. Hey, Alexandria, thank you for tuning in off the YouTube. Again, we can see you. And as you can see right now, we can put your comment on the screen. So if you got anything to say, if you want to add anything to the conversation, or if you want to be brought in the conversation, say what you got to say, and we're going to reply right to you. Thank you to the Los Damas for joining us. So, fellas, we got a few fellas on the line right now. Go ahead and speak your speech, because y'all doing a lot of talking in the background. I can't even get through the intro. So who we got on the Zoom? I say who we got on the Zoom? Talk to me.
We got Tiny.
We got Barry. But you're not on mute, because I hear you.
Yeah, no, none of you guys are on mute. You guys are definitely, you in the show though. So y'all could actually talk to us, so we could talk to everybody at this point. So let's just have a conversation. So what's up, fellas? Tamika just joined in. How you doing, Tamika? Welcome to the cookout. This way everybody get a chance to pile in, man. Grab you a plate and put something good on it. This the cookout. Welcome to the cookout. All right, man. We got the new Bill.
That's Bill.
We got the new Bill.
Awesome.
We got the new Bill.
Where you at, Bill? Bill ain't used to this technology. What are we talking about there, Bill? Bill Stovall. West Side Bill. What are we talking about?
Now, who's the operator, Steve or Barry?
It's really DeAndre, but
I think I look like we don't want on Zoom. Look like I don't know.
You on Zoom?
Man, look, you might be muted, Steve. Open, see if you muted, because they obviously can't hear me.
I don't know how
yeah, there we go. We all good.
Yo, can y'all hear us?
Can you hear us now? Anybody? Somebody. Let me see something.
Yo, Keith.
Bill is muted.
What's up, Dick?
No, the only person muted is Barry. Barry knows how to unmute, so everybody's able to speak. Can you speak, Tiny? Can you hear me?
Tiny. Bill.
I can hear you, but it sounds like you're in a can or something.
Okay, hold on.
Let me see. Let me make sure. That thing, I see that thing keep restarting.
Yeah, why did they do that?
No idea.
Where we at, y'all?
So listen, as we continue to set the show up and get everything right for the people on Zoom, again, if you're on one of those other channels, that be in the Facebook or the YouTube, like, share, comment, subscribe. We can see that. We love that. We need that support. We'll keep this thing growing, because these communications, this form of communication, these conversations are healthy and necessary for the community, because once we get to talking, then we can put a plan of action together, then we can execute that action, then we can see growth in the community. And that's what we have ultimately, So
I'm trying to do that.
yo, can y'all hear us on the Zoom?
Ain't no working.
Can y'all hear us on the Zoom? Zoom.
Hello, it's Barry.
Zoom.
Yeah, I see you.
There we go.
Barry.
Me and Tiny.
Barry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Barry.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yes.
Tiny, can you hear me?
Yes.
Tiny, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Bill, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Not good, but I can hear you.
I don't know. Barry, how do we sound? Yeah, I don't. Oh my God.
Barry.
Oh my God. We got Mosaic in the back room. Melonius. You trying to come in now, Melonius, or a little later? You let me know.
Crazy.
Hey, hello, face biter. I'm not exactly sure who you are, but I'm glad you joined us, though. Hello. What side of the town you repping? You from the west side? You from Oak Park? I know you could hear me. I know you could hear me well. We got so the way we have this thing set up is we have multiple channels. We got the Facebook,
Okay.
we got the
Hello,
YouTube,
how you guys
we
doing?
have the
Nice
Zoom.
to virtually meet you.
And so it's like the Zoom is
Nice to meet you.
it seems as though the individuals on the Zoom may not be able to hear us as well, but
Tamika,
know you can hear us.
and I have been in a lot of time exchanges together. Okay.
All right, so
Tamika
listen.
is a very talented photographer, but she's moving into
Strange how that's.
psychology. So watch out.
Yo, hey, so listen.
Technically, psychology came first.
Yo, listen. For my people on the Zoom, we are in the show. So, thank you, Belmont Cragen, for showing up today. We appreciate you. We got the Northwest in the building, which is considered the west of the North. So we here, and we got plenty of people on the Zoom. So what we want to do, this is basically the cookout. So everybody get your plate. You can put anything on that plate, and that just means the topics that you want to talk about. So please, let's have conversation. So to my people on Zoom, tell me, or even YouTube, anywhere. Tell me some of the issues your community is facing. Your part of the West Side is facing. Let's chop it up. Let's talk about it.
There's a link.
Let's just have open conversation.
On that grid.
That's what this is about. That's what the cookout is all about. It's about having open conversation and dialogue.
I don't know where it's at. I have to look.
So I have a question. So if we're on the Zoom and other people use other platforms, we can't hear what they're saying, right?
Yeah, you can hear what they're saying. So it depends.
I got you.
So for the people that come directly onto the show,
They're just watching.
so for the people that come on, so for the people that come, bro, what the hell?
Why it keeps dropping out? It's weird. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. So something is wrong with the internet today, and the Zoom keeps dropping out. So
but everything else is tight, right?
Yeah. Well, right up until we try to bring somebody onto the show, then we get a chance to see if it's really messing up or not.
But let me see. This hasn't broken up.
Hey, Robin, I see you on the Facebook. So you're on my page, which means I can't see your comments directly onto the show, but I can see them when I look at my Facebook. So I'm looking at my Facebook now because I like to keep track of who is on. And I just like to say hello to you. Haven't seen you in a minute. Hope everything's going well for you.
Yeah, I have an electric car, and I'm growing some plants in my backyard. Oh, really? Wow. Right. What else are you up to? To climate change. Well, I'm cutting down on beef. You know, we have to stop. Yeah, me too. All
right. So one of the things that our neighbors to the northwest mentioned as an issue in the community is too much space that could be used as a garden, a playground, or a community farmers market. And I want to say I totally agree with that.
Go to a plant-based diet.
Yeah, there are empty lots everywhere. Now, I also want to talk about this Google Meet. So this platform that we're using, this StreamYard, allows us to showcase our stream on multiple channels at once. So we have at least 3 different channels that this is going to. I appreciate you for connecting with the YouTube, because right now the Zoom seems to be a bit off, which kind of sucks for us all, because it may be a little bit more difficult for them to be inside the conversation today. But we're going to keep trying, though, and try to get it together, because I definitely want to hear everybody's input. So that kind of sucks. But we're working. Hey, so, hey,
so what about you, Bill, and Tamika? Did you ever try anything like Tiny was talking about?
The one thing I tried back in a couple of years ago, because my daughter really doesn't eat much meat, so I was like, okay, we'll have a meatless day, like a meatless Monday. But the best I can do is a meatless breakfast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then what happens?
The rest of the day goes down the toilet.
What the heck? Yo, Zoom, can y'all hear me?
Go somewhere. It's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Yo, Zoom.
Well, we have an organization signing now.
All right, man. Well, guess I got to go rogue today. I don't know what Steve with the Zoom tweaking. So look, check me out, man. Now let's be honest here. What do we think is the real issue in our community? Is it the crime? Is it the people? Is it the education, the housing? Or is it simply economic? Let's be honest. Is the problems in these communities, black and brown communities, primarily economic? And the reason I say that is because if we had proper economics in place, we could do all the things that we need in order to enhance our community, right? Like even our schools are dictated and ran off economics, right? The more students we have in our classes, the more money is going to the schools, right? The more the property taxes, the more the property taxes are, right? The greater that property is able to generate taxes, I should say, the more money goes into the school system, right? So our problems then may be strictly economic. Like the lots that the face biters spoke about, our friend and family from Northwest area of the community, from Belmont Cragen, that is a economic problem, right? And you're gonna need resources, economics, in order to go and turn over the land, so to speak, so that we can put something on those empty lots, whether that's a playground, a garden, or a community farmers market, right? So we just saw during the pandemic that $2.2 trillion was printed out of thin air. Where do these people get that money from? We don't know, because we're going to end up having to pay for it, right? That's the problem. But then when they talk to us, they all in our face like we idiots. Like they can't go and print some money up for my community that's going to be able to put a community center here where these babies that are growing up in environments where their parents may not all the way be right there themselves can grow up with some life skills, right? Where these middle-aged adults can grow up learning how to be a part of a productive workforce if we want our babies to have jobs, right? We push jobs a lot, economics, right? But we don't push entrepreneurship. We don't teach these babies how to till their own land, grow their own vegetables and fruits so they can become the farmers of the farmers market. You hear me? What are we doing? Is it economics, I ask? So the face biter say, I lived all around. No matter what kind of kids were there, we did crazy stuff because what else could we do? a skate park costs basically nothing. Absolutely. You tear the land up and you put all these different figures and shapes and let these kids skate around. A skateboard don't cost that much money. Right? You can even put it together if you want to. You know? We could do this if we want to right now, put a skate park together. You know? So it's just like the issues almost are, to me, they're simple to fix if we were to bring more money into our communities. The same amount of money that they putting behind marketing the vaccine, hey, no disrespect, get the vaccine. You should get it in order to survive, right? But that same amount of money that they pumping behind the marketing for that, them dollars, could come to a real, not to say a real, not to lessen its impact, right? The coronavirus was deadly, it was serious. But a real serious threat in our community, our public safety, is gun violence. They ain't put a goddamn dollar behind gun violence yet. And people died, more people died from gun violence. Children in the Chicago area died from gun violence than they did from coronavirus. Look it up. Look it up. And they ain't put a damn dollar behind marketing for gun violence. Somebody tell me, man. Tell me what we went wrong at, what we could print 2.2 trillion out of thin there, give most of that shit to the businesses, and then give the other half to people to sit their ass at home, and then tell me we need jobs. Come on, man. Stop playing with me, man. Do something for my community the right way, because y'all ain't doing it, man. And y'all can. Right? But then every year, an election come around, they want us to vote for a certain person. And that person ain't told me yet what they're going to do for my community in terms of enhancing the economic quality, equality, and value of my community. Come on, man. Stop playing with me, man. You know what I'm saying? And faced by this, I agree. As a child, I did crazy things too. I was supposed to. I'm a child and I can get away with it. But I wasn't stealing no cars and no crazy stuff. I wasn't trying to burn down things and shoot people. I ain't take it to that extent. But I did some crazy things, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what children are supposed to do. Alexandria, I agree. The pop courts in Austin are very beautiful. And furthermore, I believe we need to invest more in the arts in our communities. And I'm going to speak directly to the Black community as a representative, as a Black man, right? Knowing that art really spurs creativity, imagination, and forward progress for my community, right? We had a whole Harlem Renaissance dedicated to the arts, to the thinkers, to the intellectual. And if we could have a Chicago Renaissance where we can have more of the same, right? That art that fuels our community right now, then we would have forward progress. Let's continue to use the arts as a way to push our community forward. Let's take more photographs of these beautiful people in our community. Let's put more murals up of these famous, these extraordinary, these greats, these giants, these legends from our community. Hey, a lot of people that I graduated from school with from Austin didn't even know Robert Townsend was a product of Austin High School. Not only that, they don't know that Dorothy Tucker is a product of Austin High School. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know DeAndre Rudis was a product of Austin High School.
Who's that?
That's me. Listen, I'm trying to tell you, we got a lot of things going on, and we got to make sure that we support it in the right way. We should absolutely have more of that. What else would you say we need more of, Alexandria? Tell me where our community is struggling at, so that as we continue to do this every Sunday, 6 to 8 on various channels, Facebook, YouTube, and Zoom, we can start to get the message out. Because the more people we get behind these movements, the more we could go ahead and start telling them what we need instead of them coming to us and telling us what we need or what they think we need. Absolutely. Thank you for agreeing with me, Face Biters. I love that you're here. And I love that you came. So what we have to do with is the Zoom. Did we get the Zoom working?
Zoom is on. Everybody's on.
But they... What's going on? Because they act like they couldn't hear me. I'm studying trying to guide a conversation with them.
Can anybody hear us from the Zoom?
Hold on. Hey, can y'all hear me on the Zoom? Are y'all back in the conversation? Because I did go rogue.
We can hear you now.
Okay, good. Because I went rogue. I ain't going to lie to you. Listen, so what we had in this conversation, this is the community cookout, man. I need everybody that's listening. I'm throwing my head down like I'm Rex. I need everybody that's listening to tune in, jump into this conversation, man. The last thing we talk about is art in the community. We need to see more art. We need more economics. Somebody tell me what else we need more of in the community.
We need more people out there supporting our community. That's what we need. We need more people with solutions. You know, if they don't do anything else, give some solutions, give some comments, give some ideas. We need people to support by any means necessary, by whatever type of support they could. You know, ideas, getting out there, getting it done, money, whatever it may take.
Hey, Treetop Flyer, thank you for joining us. That's one of our brothers from Oak Park. So we starting to stretch this thing a little further than we originally anticipated. See, we was doing this thing when we originally launched it for the West Side, right? So that's North-South Lawndale, that's East-West Garfield, that's Austin, that's Humboldt Park, right? And now we're growing. So I love the fact that we got Belmont Cragen in the building. I love the fact that we got Oak Park in the building. If we got somebody else in the building, tell me you in the building. But I love the fact that we here because we got listen, the more people that we can get to work together, move in unison, to activate, to execute, to have some action behind some planning, are we gonna go crazy?
Keeps jumping. Why it's doing this? You think it's because it's on the extension or something?
Yep, I have no idea. So
I'm gonna try it.
So Face Barters was saying to you, Steve, she said there's basically no excuse for a lack of solutions. There's not. We got enough creative people in the pipeline, right? And the ones that's in the waiting, we need to bring them up too. And I'm talking about them young people. You know what I'm saying? Too often we disregard the thoughts of the young people. I was talking to a young 22-year-old man this weekend, and we was having a conversation about marriage. Now I gave him my thoughts, he gave me his thoughts. We had a little difference in agreement, but it was all respectful. But we need that. He's a solution maker just and provider the same way I am. You know, and how dare me tell him what his life should be like at 22? Because his 22 ain't my 22. You know what I'm saying? But he was very sound of mind, and he brought to the table a lot of perspective, and I love that about him. So I tried to bring him onto the show. So hopefully he gonna tap in with us because that's what we need. I want to hear some of them young people. You know, Alexandria, I skipped over your comment slightly a little earlier, but you said, let's put up more beautiful photos of the area. Absolutely. When you Google or look up Belmont Cragen, the first thing that pop up is crime. Yep. Absolutely. Why is that? You know, that's marketing. That is marketing. You know what I'm saying? When you see crime, that tells you to stay away from that area. That's not inviting. You don't want to go to that area if you never knew that area. You know what I'm saying? So
DeAndre, you were speaking. DeAndre, you were speaking of DeAndre.
Yeah, what up?
Speaking about art and all that, all the other subjects you were speaking about.
Yeah.
Well, Alan and I, we were discussing a lot that we may be able to acquire, and we were talking about putting history, coming up with a history and God. Yeah, we're gonna put history and art on it.
You gonna come up with a history? Come up with a history of what now? I'm sorry.
Huh?
You say you're gonna come up with a history of what?
So anyway, history and art.
Oh, history and art, absolutely.
Chicago, some of the neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
That nature. You know, black and brown.
Absolutely.
Black, brown, and white. You know, a diverse subject. You know, on that lot.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're looking at. That's what we've been discussing.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, brothers, y'all on the right path.
You know, history. Period.
Y'all are on the right path. Number one, art and history are like foreign,
anyway,
to schools for whatever reason.
We'll keep you informed about the progress we're making. So that's what we're just
keep us all informed because obviously you on a live show right now with a lot of people that could be interested in that.
Peacemakers.
Right.
We need more peacemakers.
All right, so for everybody listening, we need more peacemakers.
We need other people to join the peacemakers.
We need other individuals to join the peacemakers. Become a person of peace that wants to help as we navigate this territory of developing curriculum and ideas for art and history. Those are two things that I believe are very necessary. Like, I love the fact that I got a sitting congressman that comes in and spends time with us because that's history. right? I love that. I love the idea that he comes in and drops some knowledge that I may not never heard before, right? He talked about Austin and how at one point Austin was like, it's like, and it still kind of is to a certain degree, but it was its own community before it was annexed and things like that. And it had a different name, and that was pretty cool. He talked about the town hall actually being where the council, for example, for the Austin community existed. And I was like, yo, that's super dope. I had never heard that before. I knew Austin was at one point almost 120,000 strong, full of proud Black people, but I didn't recognize that they before that time had their own government in Austin. So that's absolutely, that's beautiful. And then the town hall itself is a work of art, piece of art, right? Piece of history. So FaceBotter says lots of people in charge high up or on the ground spend so much time
stay abreast of what we're doing
instead of getting smart.
And help out.
Right. Basically what you're saying is they allocating the resources in the wrong places. I agree. I mean, because you know what, here in politics, right? So one of the things that I say often is that there's too much money in crime. The reason why the problems in our communities are not being solved is because there's too much money in it. So imagine actually having the wherewithal to reach out, build with people that can actually solve the problem, and then having to figure out how to move on to the next. No, it's not going to work like that. You know why? Because too many people getting paid. What we need a superintendent for that's getting paid $200,000 for, right? What do we need judges for? What do we need lawyers for? What do we need attorneys for? Right? What do we need the jail for? Too much money in crime. Everybody getting paid, so ain't nothing happening. You feel me? Let's be real with ourselves, because if they did want it to happen, it would have been happened. They just took $2.2 trillion out of nowhere and made it happen.
Coalition of schools, churches, individuals, other businesses, and rock clubs.
So, welcome Northwest Austin Council. Speak your speech. I don't know who we got on the line. It's who? It's Cora?
Yes.
Oh, hey, Cora, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I can't complain at all.
Good.
So the Facebiter says, it's not our job to toughen our children up to face a cruel and heartless world. It's our job to raise children who will make the world a little less cruel and heartless. And that is by L.R. Nost, which is, I love that comment because you're absolutely right. Right? Congressman Davis actually talked about last week's struggle. And I told him that I find it difficult to believe that we should be struggling. Like this, why? Right? Look at all the privilege that we have. Look at all the freedom, all the opportunity, all of the riches. Why is there struggle here? Tupac said long ago, they got churches that are like mega mansions, and we got poor people. He said they got money for wars, but yet they can't feed the poor. Tupac, if you didn't know, was a modern day poet. He was a philosopher. I love Tupac, by the way, hence the nose ring. So the thing is, we have it, right? Nobody should be struggling and starving. And then why are we going to pass down this idea that you got to struggle? Now, listen, do you have to work? You got to work. Do you got to sacrifice? You got to sacrifice. Do you have to struggle? No, you don't have to struggle. Why should we teach struggle to anyone? Right? Let's go back to Zoom. I'm just going to chill for a minute. Let's see what these guys talking about.
I might show up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all you gotta do is send me your information. We'll call you. We'll make sure you show up.
How will I send you my information?
Yeah. 77. Okay, my email is GIG.
Hold on 1 second. Let me get into my email.
Yes.
Hey, what's going on, Congressman?
Okay. So you say it's
I can't complain.
Yeah, GIGG.
That sounds like
GILL @gmail.com.
We got the Peacemakers Coalition online. That's Bill.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's Bill and them.
Well, they've been piecing, making peace.
You can email them, or we can put you on the list, and when we got a call meeting coming up, but the next meeting that is on the 23rd.
Yeah, 23rd October.
Yeah, we got that'd be our meeting, monthly meeting. So you probably can participate on that one, but we're looking for
So he can hear you.
people that can really help with this.
I have no idea.
We're forming a new group. Alec can tell you more about that group. And we're on the move. We're starting to grow.
Right. I don't know what they're doing on the
Take
Zoom.
pictures for you.
I have no idea what's going on the Zoom. They can hear me, but they're not responding to me at all. They don't want to be in the
can't hear you.
conversation. I don't know what's going on.
But over there,
You're gonna see how much we're growing when I get you in this next meeting.
I'm looking forward to it because you told me
We're
about the
moving.
young people from the South Side, and I'm definitely looking to connect. You know, I'll be all across the city, north, south, east, or west.
Yeah. And
All right, so
you got to be at the next meeting.
listen. So I'm trying to invite y'all to the cookout, but y'all trying to have y'all own cookout. Now, if y'all want to have y'all own cookout, y'all got to go elsewhere because there are individuals that's over here talking about the Zoom. They say Zoom having their own show. They say, why is the Zoom not in the cookout with us? Like, I'm trying to get y'all involved in the cookout. Now, I talked about some issues we have in the community, whether they economical, political, whether they social, whatever they gonna be. But I'm trying to hear from y'all. Tell me something. I heard Bill talk about art and history and the lot him and Tiny's working on with the Peacemakers. And now y'all exchanging information from the Peacemakers, which is absolutely what you're supposed to do. But I need y'all over here to get a plate of this. So tell me, what else can we do in the community that can help the community?
Absolutely. Where we at, y'all?
Well, that was one of the things I spoke about. Please,
All right.
community.
Well, we got Tamika on the line, and she's going to be a psychologist. So I want to hear from Tamika then.
Oh,
Okay.
you guys are cracking me up, like for real. So, what we were talking about in order to help the community is just bringing these young people together. You know, that's what Bill suggested, just trying to get them to participate more in the community and the community paying them so they can make money while helping their own community. And I think that's a really good idea.
That's absolutely a good idea.
And the problem was we couldn't hear you guys. You guys would ghost on us. So we had to make our own conversation.
Okay, yeah, I have no idea what happened, so I'm glad you're here now. I do want to talk about this idea of getting kids to work in the neighborhood. So somebody presented to me a while ago the idea that when we build block clubs, right, and we have the ability to get grants, instead of taking these grants and getting bouncy houses and putting neighborhood parties together and getting like those banners that represent your neighborhood, they say do this. Buy some lawnmowers, right? Buy something that can be used again and again. And now you have an opportunity to beautify the neighborhood. And the reason why that may be important is because let's say you get those lawnmowers, you can get those youth to be in charge of those lawnmowers as well as keep the grass kept up. So if that block itself, let's just say take $5 a month per house and put it into a pot. By the time either the next grant comes around, they could pay the children with those grants, or they could utilize that pot that they came up with to pay those children. And those children don't have to be relegated to just doing lawn services in the fall or the spring. They could also do winter and shovel the snow and things like that. That could really teach them a little bit of entrepreneurial spirit, so to speak, right?
But are they really getting any grants?
So Austin coming together.
That's
snipers,
why we
absolutely.
should be shooting for a training center with a entertainment venue and all that other stuff combined. So that's one of the things that we should be looking into. A training center. It's a lot of vacant areas around here where we can build this stuff, but we got to find out where the money is.
Well,
before we
The
can build
question
this
still is,
Right.
how
Yeah.
do you get this?
Get into the
Well,
trade.
so
To the
listen,
trade.
Austin coming together was one of the individuals that were able to get some funds from the Chicago Community Trust, which had the Safe and Peaceful grants. And basically, all you had to do was come up with an idea to have a safe and peaceful summer, whatever that is. Now, much of that revolved around this idea of block club parties and bouncy houses and the like, right? But at the end of the day, you can still, let's say, safe and peacefully, you want to write a grant that says, I want to teach some of these guys that are standing on the corner how to be enterprising. So I want to get some lawnmowers, bring a landscaper in, teach them how to landscape, and you still get to keep these lawnmowers. So there is money out there, whether it's $1,000 to $5,000, right? Some of these block club development grants are typically smaller.
I'm talking about bringing people in to get these people certified. And a lot of these companies, a lot of them are not unionized. They're not union people. And I know quite a few electricians. Hello?
We hear you.
Yeah, you feel a lot of these companies that I know some guys, they got big electrical companies, they're not unionized. And they didn't have to go through the union. They just got whatever license they needed and they went on their merry way and they making big bucks. So we can bring these kids in and teach them this type of stuff. Electrical, plumbing, things of that nature. Trades.
So one of the things that I was doing.
Yeah.
So Bill, one of the things that I was doing on the low is I actually was working with the black union trying to get established on the South Side. I'm gonna tell you what the biggest problem was we was having. Just like all of the problems we are having in the lack of involvement. People, we don't know what unions, the necessity of having a union, number one. But then when you go into the community and try to get support to get people to say, man, we need this. Let me tell you how. You still got people that, maybe ignorant to the facts. So they're not even trying to get involved in something like that. And we can say that for every project that we come up with. So let's flip the question around and go towards how do we get these people involved, even when we know what their interests are. We go to them about those interests and they still don't seem interested.
Hey, Beyond.
Well, yeah.
I hear you, Diana.
Thank you so much. I know that aldermen, at least 3 aldermen that I know, they put up posts all the time on their site that says, we're taking apprentices for pipe fitters, plumbers. We're taking apprentices for electricians. We're taking apprentices for carpenters and painters. That's not happening in the wards. And Austin, I don't know if they're 1 ward or 2 or 3. We're 3 wards.
We're about like 4 over here.
Ask your alderperson to publish that stuff. They have access to information. They should put it up on their Facebook page.
You know what? I'm not. Sometimes that in itself can be political too. That's what I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's wrong with politics?
If we get one of these,
politics governs life. There ain't nothing wrong with political to me.
Because anytime 2 people get together, in all likelihood, some politicking takes place unless they agree all the time. And if they agree all the time, one of them not necessary.
Hey, I hear that. So I love the fact that you said that, because when I started getting involved in politics in a way, that's where my mind ultimately reverted to. I grew up in an era where when we talked amongst friends, we'd be like, I'm finna just go over here and politic. So I always thought politics was nothing more than a conversation anyway.
Well, a little more than that, but what I'm saying, if I go to a church, and I don't like what the preacher,
It's breaking up. Yeah, it's breaking up.
Hold on, we're getting it.
if I go to a church and I don't like what they're doing at that church, I quit. I don't go there. I go somewhere.
I didn't know the Congress was in there.
Come on, man. Y'all know the congressman be in the house, man.
Yeah,
Congressman
I know.
David. Oh, go ahead, Diana. Sorry.
Yeah, can you see him? He's over.
The young lady was speaking. What was that?
Yeah, Diana. I'm sorry, Diana. I think I cut you off with the claps. Sorry.
I was just saying that, you know,
Went out again. You know what?
It's the as I'm look. I'm looking at the. I'm looking at the connection. The connection not as strong as it should be. So that's what it could be. The internet connection might be too many things connected
or we'll
at
just
once.
call his office. You know, I'll call it, and 3 other people will call, you know, and say, you know, how come you ain't doing this or that, you know? It's not things that are big, but things that are small, like, you know, telling us when there's a 50/50 program for the sidewalk is going on. Or like you guys are talking about right now, you know, what happened with the trades? How come we're not getting apprenticeships? How come nobody's telling, you know, young people opportunities, you know? And so that they started posting all that stuff up.
Yeah. I do want to bring attention to my Facebook page. So Claiborne Wade, he was saying that we need more people that's willing to invest in our community. That also includes ourselves. I also talk about the fact that everybody got at least an hour. If everybody in the community gave 1 hour to whatever that issue is that they have, I guarantee we have some forward progress. Claiborne also said we need education, economic development, more Black-owned businesses, more affordable housing, and so much more. And I want to say hey to Miss Bertha Ponell, who's also on the line watching on the Facebook. Hey, Miss Purnell, how are you? So, Congressman, I saw you this weekend at the Recovery Walk.
Very
Great time.
true.
Yeah.
I've had a great week doing all kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Monday, I was with the Vice President of the United States of America, Kamala Harris,
Miss Harris.
at
Absolutely.
her house,
Hey.
talking about issues and what was going on. Of course, the recovery walk was yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
but I just left a meeting with Nancy Pelosi, who is the third person in the United States of America who could be president if something was to happen.
Oh my God! Listen, I don't mean no disrespect at all, but come on, Nancy Pelosi is a little up there.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Congress, and no ageism at all, but come on, no, I don't even want to think about Nancy Pelosi being
Probably
president.
the most powerful woman
No, she is absolutely
in the United States of America.
Absolutely the most powerful woman, but I just
Even more powerful than the vice president, because the vice president
no.
served at the pleasure of the president.
Absolutely.
And, whereas Nancy, all the stuff we've been talking about, money, for example,
Mm-hmm.
we're saying organizations and groups, but they ain't got no money.
Yeah.
And one of the best ways to get money is to get you a good proposal writer.
Yes.
Be a group.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of money put around into things.
It is.
I mean, there's foundation money.
Yeah. Corporate money.
There's corporate money.
Yep.
There's government money.
Yep. Angel investors, philanthropists.
Best way to get it
Put it
is
in writing.
to have a solid
Put it in writing. I hear that.
organization
Mm-hmm.
and a good proposal writer,
Mm-hmm.
so you can get more money than enough to have a bouncing house.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah.
I mean,
it dominates. You know, I mean, it's great for the activity.
to have a good, solid, powerful group,
We need sustainability.
you got to have money, because you got to have somebody to coordinate just to get 5 people to meet. You know how much time it takes to get 5 people to put their schedules together and agree to meet at a certain time, at a certain place.
That's what
and
that's
for
my
a
job
certain
now.
purpose.
And yes, it's very difficult.
And if you ain't got nobody
time.
dedicated to doing that,
Yes.
you'll have some ideas.
no noise now. Okay. He's not. Oh, you.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Zoom, man.
Clay was getting out the car. There was noise on the outside.
Oh no, you're gonna have to mute. You're gonna have to mute Venus. You know, now Venus do this all the time. Nah, she ain't got good Zoom etiquette. I ain't gonna even lie to
I didn't
you.
know if you knew I was on the phone.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Go out to Zoom, you mute her. Now, I want to go back to the comments a bit earlier. Facebiter said that, well, if you can't talk your politics without arguing, then you might be hard headed. What do you think about that?
Yeah, but having disagreements is all right. Ain't nothing wrong with people disagreeing. People been disagreeing ever since Adam and Eve were in the garden.
Okay.
And of course, Cain and Abel, people been killing each other and stuff too.
Yeah.
Wasn't but a few people on the, as far as I can understand.
Yeah.
Based upon what I've been told, wasn't but a few people in the world. And Cain and Abel got into a fight, and one of them killed the other one.
You know what? It's funny that you bring that up because I mentioned that. I think that was last week. I mentioned how we want to see world peace, right? We would love for that to happen. But I said that the sheer fact is, at our very core, we are animals, and as animals, we are opposed to one another in some respects. Now, we obviously have some similarities that if we built around them, we can move forward. But there's also, there will always be something that keeps people.
I'm so sorry. May I just say, whoever is not, can you mute? I think I don't realize they're not on mute, and there's a lot of background noise. And I don't know if there's any, like, whoever is hosting this is able to mute others.
Yeah. Now here
I got you.
Here we go with, this is why Zoom is going to be a difficult platform for us to control, because the Zoom is all the way over there. You can't see it. Hold on. You know what? I'll take you there.
Not only is it all the way over.
So the Zoom is all the way over there, and we are all the way over here, and we're trying to control that over there, but we're all the way over here. So that's a little difficult. It doesn't even matter. So we back into it. So Vice Bader says there is a Star Trek episode, like most things that cover this. Just because you could fit the role, it's time for someone like you to have it, doesn't mean that you're right for it. And this was coming off the conversation about individuals coming together and trying to plan and things like that. And fitting, like you said, that role where if you have a planner, let that planner plan. If you have a great organizer, let the organizer organize. If you have somebody who will be better suited for the leadership position, let that person lead. And then we could probably get somewhere. And as she said, it's not really long at all if you have a great planning methodology. And those things don't have to take months to change. I'm totally in agreement, because I'm looking at a West Side that's been the same way for almost 50 years. And I tell Steve all the time, I don't got 25 years in me for this thing to sit the same way. I would love to see more charge being taken, more action being taken, especially amongst you people in my age range. So if you listen and you my age, hey, let's build, let's get it together. Congressman talk about seeing 50 young people, right? I'm 34. So if you're in your 20, even 25 to 40, let's build, man. Because we up. This is our generation. We got our hands all on it. Right? We got to make it happen, man. We can't be sitting here talking about what could happen, what should happen, what could have happened, what would have happened. Let's make it happen. But I need y'all help, though, because I'm in the fight for real. I've been in the fight since 2012. That's when I started doing this. I remember 2015, I went to For Justice or Else, where I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speak, and he talked about the need to have 100,000 strong black men in these communities that's ready to die for what they believe in. I actually at that time decided that was something that I was willing to do. Right. So I'm in it. So I need y'all that's watching. I see Francois, you just jumped on. I see Zeke. We all went to school together. Man, if y'all brothers want to join with me, man, let's politic. Let's sit down. Hey, man, we up. Let's take over. We up.
What the Congressman got to say?
What up, Congressman?
What I say is that it takes patience to develop. And if you don't take the patience to develop, what you end up doing is having a lot of conversation and not accomplishing that much.
I hear that.
And if you don't, that's why you have to go to school.
I respect that.
That's why you have to go to church every Sunday.
It teaches you delayed gratification.
Reinforce. If you're not willing,
That's what patience is. Delayed
if
gratification.
you don't have the patience to develop what you're trying to develop, you ain't really going too far.
Hey, Sam, thanks for checking in with us. I'm with you. Now, I will say this, Congressman Davis. Is it patience that we need as youth, or is it wisdom and guidance from the older generation? Some education right here at our age.
But you need all of it.
Okay. All right, that's good. Because I think we can have patience, but we can also be moving forward if we have.
But old folks were once young.
Absolutely.
And they went through the same growing pains that it took to get old as it takes young people.
Yeah.
And they disagreed with the folks who were older. They didn't disagree probably as much. You know, I used to think my daddy was the dumbest guy around. I mean, there were times when I really thought that. And I thought he was talking stuff that didn't make sense. I mean, but the older I became and the more engaged I became, I realized that some of what he was saying made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, and that's like anything, right? When they tell you, just wait, you live long enough, you'll see what I'm saying. You know, that is very true. I do want to point out.
But if you don't wait, then you won't see.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I will say this. Facebiter says she likes the idea of an entire community putting at least an hour into a project. She said if you can get 100 people giving 1 hour of their time, it will be crazy. She said forget patience.
But you first got to have somebody to organize the 100 people.
I like the idea of having a project centered around getting 100 people to give 1 hour to a project, a 100-hour project. I like that idea, and I think that's something that we could take on. I'm gonna be totally honest. I like that idea. I really like that idea. 100 people giving 1 hour to a 100-hour project. Let's make it happen. So Facebiter also says Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and Jesus didn't wait for change. They went out there and made it happen.
You know what? We got over.
Yeah, I'm with you.
We got over 10 people on Zoom, and I don't know what it is, but we are losing. We're jumping in and out and in and out.
Well, look, I could say if anybody wants to come directly onto the show, so the Zoom was always about watching. If anybody wants to come into the show, I can send them the link, and then they could come directly. So ask them if they wanted to come into the show, and we could do that.
They can hear you. Can everybody on Zoom hear? Well, they did for a minute.
I keep jumping. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't have a good connection. That's what it is. We don't have a good enough connection today for whatever reason.
But the other stuff's not jumping.
No, this isn't working, but we haven't brought anybody into the show either to see. Now, the people that are watching via Facebook and YouTube, they are saying that there's no problem. They can hear us fine. Right. I don't think it's jumping or anything, but for those people that may come onto the show, there might be.
But I think it's the Zoom because they're still carrying on conversations in the room.
Right.
It's
because
it's just we're jumping in.
Yeah, because
it could be our
internet. Our internet isn't strong enough. That's what happens with the internet. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
That's LinkedIn right here.
Yeah, let me cut this off. Yeah. But you got a bunch of different devices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
That might be it. That might have been it. Because that's the only thing different from this time.
All right, we'll see. Hopefully
your
that'll do it.
Not doing Wi-Fi, right?
That'll do it. It might do it, but
we need that broadband.
You need broadband. Yep, you said it. You need broadband.
That the government is trying to get passed so we can put some more serious money into broadband development in communities like ours
Mhm.
and in rural America so that people, could you imagine a young person trying to study in school and this is happening
Man.
to them? How are they able to do what they need to do? And of course, our kids experience that. So we got a
Thanks
lot
for
of
joining us, Space
need,
Biters.
a lot of need, and we need to be as organized as we can possibly be
Yeah.
so that we can help generate the thinking
Yeah.
in other places. I'll guarantee you that every person in Illinois that considers themselves a Democrat in the House of Representatives will vote for a $3.5 trillion budget bill.
Okay.
I guarantee it.
Mm.
I'll bet you that those two senators will vote for it. I'll bet you that Dick Durbin and Tammy Duckworth would vote for it. But we can't get it passed.
Okay.
Because it takes more than that.
You got to go through the Senate.
It also takes the guys in Mississippi.
Yeah.
Take the guys in Louisiana. Take the guys in Texas. Take the guys. And so if you're strong enough where you are to not only help yourself, but also to help others, then you can become and maintain the majority that you need to have in a country like ours to do the things you want done.
So I want to go off the last thing you said. You said if you're strong enough by yourself and they're strong enough with other people. So how do you get to the point, or when do you know the point that you are strong enough as self to stand up and then bring other people into what you got going on? How do you know that? When is that point?
When you, for example, when you can get the people inoculated in your country, you know, if you notice when you're on the airplane and say if you got a problem and the turbulence is bad and the oxygen ain't flowing right and the thing is going to come down, they say first,
Put your mask on.
put your mask on.
Mm-hmm.
Secure yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're in a position to help somebody else.
Absolutely.
So when you secure yourself, then you are in a position to help somebody else. For example, there were people in Illinois who actually helped Warnock and Ossoff get elected to the Senate.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm.
We sent money to them so they could be on the air, so they could pay workers, so they could get people water, so they could do whatever they did. And so we need to help Haiti right now. I'm trying my best to put together a relief effort. Now, the people that I know are not rich. People don't have no whole lot of money. But if you could send a few $1,000s to Haiti, you don't know which Haitians that would help. But I guarantee you it would help some.
Yeah.
And so you don't necessarily have to be a big time philanthropist and got a lot of money. But if you can send $100 and you get 100 people to send $100, that's going to help some Haitians have some clean water to drink.
Yes. Yeah. I wonder with some, okay, so there's the advent of like these clean drinking straws where people are able to get at least 100, I believe it's 100 gallons of clean drinking water with these straws. Do you know what I'm talking about? So when you send money to places like, does money go to those type of apparatus, things that can really help them in the interim, or would you say the money will go towards like bottled water or something?
It goes. Let me tell you, I know a brother and his wife. They used to live right over here on Luna, who organized to help dig wells and so forth in Haiti. And they've done that now for several years. His job was working for the Cook County Forest Reserve. That was his job. But they got a vision to do that. And they've done it for several years. And they've helped build wells and help provide people. You can do things. You can't do all that you might want to do right away and immediately, but you can do something to help.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, service. So I'm a Rotarian, right? I'm a member of the Rotary Club. So service above self is our mission, so to speak, right? It's also our tagline. But I truly believe in service above. I mean, that's why I do the things I do. But I will say this: one of the things that have recently continued to plague me is this idea that I do have to be in a better position myself in order if I want to help, right? And like you said, you got to put your mask on. So I, to be honest, I've been totally wrestling with this idea that maybe right now isn't the time where I need to be putting my efforts into all of this community-based work so much so as I need to be trying to build myself, you know? And I don't think I would be wrong to do that.
Well, you know, my mama used to tell us that charity begins at home and spreads abroad, meaning that you have to secure your home base to the best of your ability as you reach out to help. You know, if I got a block club and I don't go to my block club meeting, ain't no point in me talking about somebody ought to have a block club. If I don't have a block club on the block where I live, then ain't no point in me saying that block clubs is the great way of what we need to do. How many times you been? I never been. It's like people talking about people need to vote and all. Do you know that some of the people who be running around talking about they ain't even registered to vote? They not even registered to vote.
You got to walk the talk. That's what you're saying, you know.
And that's where we at today. Because our previous conversation was around what does it take to build community? And we said we were going to continue this week because we want to not only talk about this, we want to start coming up with solutions and walk the talk.
Yeah, that's what we came out. That before the whole thing started going crazy.
No, you know what it was? I figured it out. We were picking up a Wi-Fi that was from downstairs, and it was too far away, and it kept dropping out. We're not near our closest Wi-Fi.
You wasn't on the okay. All
right.
Okay.
It was still because we never shut it off from the previous meeting.
So we talked about art and history. Okay, I don't know if that's a firework. The record sounds like a firework, but you know, we in the hood, guys. Yeah. So we have Sauce Pack Mac on here today. Just give me a second, Sauce Pack. I just want to recap quickly. So as we were talking about solution finding and building, we talked about art and history and a lot that Bill and Tiny is looking to explore. They're also looking to build the peacemakers to really help with those efforts. We talked to Tamika, who also mentioned getting these kids or utilizing these kids in more industrious ways, such as, you know, having them learn certain skills and trades through workforce development. Also piggybacking off some things that Bill was saying as well. And even we had comments from Belmont Cragen area, the face biters talked about, you know, and it's something that I spoke about, but she actually brought it to fruition and made me think about this would be a perfect undertaking. If we can get 100 people to give 1 hour of time for a 100-hour project.
And it would be even better if we can get 50 of them people to be young people.
I mean, I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that's a problem at all. It depends on where we going now. But speaking of young people, we got Sauce Pack Mac on the line. So Sauce Pack, you've been here for a little bit, fighting with us through the adversity. of the connection. So what's up, brother?
Yeah, how's it going, guys? Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
You know, this is probably my third or fourth time joining, and one of the things that my question is more so for DeAndre. What are you, when personally, what are you doing to try to, I guess, gather up a group of people? I heard you earlier saying, hey, some guys I went to school with jumped on, and you were saying, hey, come help or come join or whatever. Like, what are you doing that's helping push where you ultimately is trying to go personally?
I got to be totally honest with you, Sauce Pack. So I kind of fell in line with other things that was going on. Then I got other things that's going on. So I never really created my own anything. I have yet to really create my own movement and want to and say, well, this is what I want to do or the direction I want to go in. And and there is various groups that I actually attempted to put together. One was called the New Leadership Alliance, which was a collaboration or a group between my friends and some family members who, as a business psychologist, I thought that everybody fit these specific roles, sort of like what the congressman spoke to. And I tried to put everybody in the role that I thought was best suited to their skills and abilities. And it just didn't work. That was about 5 years ago. There was 6 of us, and it fell apart. I really wanted us to build leadership and also it become an investment group. Part of it was becoming an investment group. It fell apart. The second thing that I tried to do is put together what's called operationalizing power, which was teaching some young people in my age group what the how do you operationalize power, right? How do you go about building power through the relationship building process, and also understanding the facets of the system that is working against us, and how do you infiltrate that system so that once we make it to a position, all of us that are a part of the system can then utilize our power within it to create change. And again, I think for all of those things, it was either the wrong people at the table, or the time may not have been right, or I just wasn't consistent enough, or I didn't sell good enough. So one of the things that I'm really I think about, and I think about this daily, is like I spoke to the congressman, where am I at with what I'm trying to do? I'm at a point now where I haven't saved myself yet. My mask isn't on in order to save myself. So I keep thinking that I'm gonna save the community, and that's foolish when I'm not. I haven't even saved myself. So I may have to go back to the table and reevaluate. To be totally honest with you.
So basically, the answer is nothing.
As of now, nope.
Okay, because I was listening. I'm like, this guy. You start going into all your past works, and one thing I typically understand is if something fails, that you just try it a different way. And it sounds like since 2012 you've been a part of this thing. You said earlier you was talking, and it seems like maybe you tried something didn't work. So now I hear you guys up there talking about the 25, 35-year-olds, and I'm looking at one and I'm saying, what is this guy, personally doing? Because, I think this goes back to one of you guys last week's conversation about pride and, building within the community and things. So, and I'm lost because I keep asking myself, well, what does the Northwest Austin Council provide to the community personally? I don't know. That's why I brought up the topic last week of maybe taking a bunch of young kids and teaching them life skills, or even, maybe you guys, I know one conversation you was having with a lady and you were talking about finances. Honestly, me being in 32, that's one of the things that stuck out to me, is because growing up, I don't know much about finances, but I do know that they're kicking me in the what at the moment. So, do you guys offer at the Northwest Austin Council some type of, financial course or financial literacy that people my age and younger will be able to gravitate to so they can learn maybe finances?
No, we don't actually. That's the funny thing is though. I've actually been investing for at least 8 years now. I've been investing, avid investor and trader in the stock market. So I do both. I actually created a couple courses. The reason why I don't really promote them as much is because, again, not having my own direction. I know what I want to do, but I've also fit myself within a system, so to speak, that if I'm not really geared towards what we have going on, then I'm not really doing anything. And so what like I mentioned, my struggle is, where am I within this system? If I was to focus on the courses and things that I created, then I will be giving out a lot more financial education. I will be helping our community build their financial awareness, and I will probably be building my own profile. But I don't. I try to be a part of the community in many ways. Right? I just mentioned seeing Congressman Davis at the recovery walk. Right? We are all affected in different ways by drug usage. And I walked upon a dead body 3 weeks ago that OD'd. So I thought it was important to be a representative of a person that's coming from that community, right? I've also been included in affairs with Black Workers Matters, again, with Steve and Congressman Davis. I think it's important that Black people understand labor laws and how to defend themselves. So I'm there, right? I've also taken place in I've taken part of Women Rights March. We have a person on the phone, we got Miss Venus on the phone from Nobel Neighbors, who Steve and I was down there. We saw her take it, and I think it's important to be involved in women's rights. So again, to answer your question, yes, I've created courses. Those courses are on sale for $250, 9-hour course for $250, and I got a bridge 3-hour course for $100, and that's community-wide price, right? Now, if you're an organization, you're gonna have to pay just a tad more, but for the community, that is a small lump sum in order to understand financial education for your life.
Look, can I just, because you mentioned Noble Neighbor,
yes, sir,
and Venus.
Yep.
One of the most intriguing meetings that I've been to in a long time was the meeting on the ground.
In the park.
Out under some trees.
Yes, sir, in the park. Yep.
That Noble Neighbors had. I didn't want to leave there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was such a good community meeting until I wanted to stay there all morning. I had to leave.
No, yeah, I know. We were there at that meeting as well. Man, beautiful people.
Oh, it was just a wonderful. I was so inspired and motivated that day until I think I walked around all day with my head up in the air, looking up in the sky. I mean, so I just want to congratulate Noble Neighbors on an approach to getting people engaged and involved that makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's not easy to evaluate effectively, but you know, if you can look on your block and say ain't nobody got killed on your block because you got a good block club, or ain't nobody's house been broken into, or ain't nobody's garage been broken into. Let me tell you, I done bought so many lawnmowers and stuff until it ain't funny. People done broke in and stole my stuff. I mean, I live in the 5900 block.
Right.
Yep.
And
Austin,
and
representative.
Yeah, people done stole my stuff so many times until it ain't funny.
All I can do is laugh about it.
Yeah.
Man, and listen, last 2 summers ago, I came into my home, and all my computers was gone. Devastated, man. Still fighting the good fight though. Sauce Pack. Well, so I don't know if I answered your question, but that's really what it is, brother.
I want to touch on Sauce Pack because he asked the question: what does the Northwest Austin Council do? Well, first and foremost, we have to look at the history of the Northwest Austin Council. The Northwest Austin Council was formed almost 50 years ago. In another 3 months, it would be 50 years old. It was formed in 1972 by a group of people that wanted to secure their communities. And they wanted to secure three things. They wanted public safety to be as premium and as great, as it could be to them. They wanted to be as safe as possible. The second thing they wanted to do, they wanted to secure the educational institutions in their community, meaning that the public schools, the Catholic schools, the high schools, whatever was in Austin, they wanted to secure those and make sure that they were there for their kids and grandkids when they came up. And the third thing they wanted to do was secure their housing stock. And the reason they wanted to secure their housing stock because they knew that was their biggest investment. So a group of people came together, and I'm gonna have to say this: group of white people, because Northwest Austin Council was primarily white when it started. Matter of fact, the first president, by a lady by the name of Janine Stumps, was the first president of Northwest Austin Council, and she reigned as president for many, many years. Matter of fact, we had the vice president, a guy by the name of George Harper. He was vice president up until 2004, something like that, when he passed. He was 90 years old. He was still part of Northwest Austin Council. So I say this to say that no matter what anybody wants, black, white, Spanish speaking, whatever, we all want the same things. We want safer communities. We want good housing stock. We want great educational institutions in our communities for our kids and loved ones. And we have to look ahead and look to secure those things. Because if we as a community don't look to fight for those things and come together, and it doesn't really take a lot because, sorry? Go ahead. No,
that was the.
Oh.
That was the.
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm listening. I'm hearing you break down the history of the Northwest Austin Council. I'm listening.
So I
frustrating me, so I'm gonna turn off. Go do
You sent me your
everybody.
you sent me your information, right?
They still all on another meeting. But
Okay.
nevertheless, my point was, it doesn't take a lot. It just takes a little. It just takes a little collaborative effort from everybody, just to come together and be strong in the community. Now, when I talk about those three pillars, we don't necessarily do all of those things, but we will do all of those things. And I say that because we empower the people in the community around those three pillars, meaning that we ain't gonna go and do it unless you want to be involved with doing it with us.
So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So you said it's been around for about 50 years. At what point do you think it changed where you started to get little community participation? And then what have you personally done as the chairperson of the Northwest Austin Council to get it back on track? Because it's been together for 50 years, meaning it's been around, and everything you were telling me was about the history, how it was formed, who formed it, but you didn't tell me what are you guys doing now so that I understand what's going on now. All you told me was you got to look forward. Look forward to what?
Look forward to the issues that you have, because the issues that you have, we can still work together and make them happen. Now let's go back to when you said when I saw things changing. Well, I saw
things really changed. The housing stock was
it's
pretty
still
good around.
The beautiful housing stock.
I mean, there are some buildings where people have not kept them up, and some places where they haven't had the money to. But
so as I'm understanding, that's one of the pillars. If I understand you guys correctly, that's just one of the pillars. The other one being education and public safety. So in regards to what the Northwest Austin Council have done, I mean, if you're talking about the homes and you're saying, hey, the homes are up, I guess, in value, then, and Steve mentioned that some of the pillars you guys are not currently working on. So which like when you talk about, I guess, 25 to 35-year-olds, are you saying the 25 to 35-year-olds are not trying to, figure out what Northwest Austin Council is about or how to best be able to help you guys help the community?
Well, I can say from my 30 years of experience, 25 to 35-year-olds, it's about the same. It's about the same norm. When I came in, you had a handful of 25, 35-year-olds that were involved. And it just seems to be that. And now that's what I was going to say the change is. There were a lot more older people. Now, meaning board-wise, we still have that's our strongest hold, the older people in the community. They are our biggest allies, our biggest group of members. They are still here. A lot of them have passed on, but I've yet to see that advancement of the greatest amount of people that are involved are the younger people. And I understand that. I had to understand it from a distance, because when you're young, you don't have the finance to buy a house in the community. When you're young, you don't have the money to send your kid to St. Angela's or what's the other couple parochial schools in the area. We've got a couple other Protestant.
Like Providence, St. Mel, and all those?
No. Like just in Northwest Austin. There's one over here right off of. Anyway, it's on Menard.
St. Catherine, St. Lucie.
Yeah, that's the one that's closer also, but there's a couple others. But nevertheless, I do get that's why the younger people don't get involved. Now, I got involved again because I was afforded the opportunity to buy a property through Northwest Austin Council. They had what was known as first-time home buyers direct sales program, where they were trying to do what DeAndre calls regentrification. The people that's already in the community, let's reintroduce it to them and make them stay. And that's how I got involved. Now, I had a decent job. I had finished college. My wife and I had just got married. We had no kids, so it was an opportunity. And I always tell people, I was being selfish, like most young people are. It was about me. I didn't care nothing about Northwest Austin. All I cared about what they gonna give me. But the problem was, I didn't know anything about, owning a home. So I would always revert back to the office and be like, hey, where did I get my garbage cans? Because I ain't got no garbage cans, And my neighbors next door, they keeping up hella noise and all this craziness all the time. So they reached out and they were like, Steve, first of all, we do know the ward suit. We can get you your garbage cans. They got my garbage can. And they said, well, we do know those neighbors you're speaking of. So we're going to reach out to them first so we can get you guys to kind of, come in on a smooth transition of knowing each other. And these are the things I kept coming to the office about. What about, I had a friend that wanted to buy a property. He was like, how can he buy a property? So I introduced him to Northwest. He bought a property through Northwest Austin Council and still there. They start asking after time. It's like, well, you come down here all the time and ask a whole lot of doggone questions. What would it take for you to join our board? And I'm looking like, I ain't got time for this. I'm trying to do me. I got my own property at 25, 26 years old. I got a wife. I got a good job. And that's all I really care about. But then as I started to think about it and I saw what they were doing, I'm like, I want to be in front of everything that happens in this community. And how do I get to be in front? It's through this organization, because a lot of things that people didn't know what was going on in the community, it came through NAC first. And I looked at that as a privilege to be involved like that.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because the first house I bought it from a guy who was on the board of an organization that I worked for.
Wow.
I joined the Greater Lawndale. I worked for the Greater Lawndale Conservation Commission.
Right.
And Bob Gurner was on the board. And Bob had a real estate business called Spacet Realty. And the next house that I bought from Geraldine Lambert, who was on the board of the Midwest Community Council. Mm-hmm. It was a good friend of Nancy Jefferson.
Yep.
Nancy course, Jerry just called me yesterday. Her husband died. And to tell me that Mac, her husband, had passed away. But I'm saying the connections, if I didn't know Bob Gurner, I may not have purchased the house the time that I did. But I knew Bob from being on the board of this organization. And I bought a house when I was like 20-some years old.
Right. And don't get me wrong, Sauce Pack. The goal, we started a thing, what's it been going on a year or so now? We call it Making Money for Millennials and Others. And the whole idea behind this making money for millennials and others was, first of all, we were trying to do it for millennials. Then other people was like, other adults were like, well, why are you not trying to help us do it? You know, I'm like, okay, we'll do it for others also. But the intent was to literally show young people how they can get a 2-unit, 3-unit, or 4-unit. I think up to a 4-unit to create generational wealth and have a sense of stability in the community by owning a property. And we started doing this by having these seminars to get them qualified, get their credit right, get their money saved up, and then we're going to go out and try to get these properties sold to the younger people or those individuals that could get this done. You know, we really pushing for DeAndre to be one of the first. Well, not one of the first. We already had one person that has done it, but at least to be in the group of the first to get this done. And you know, I think it's very tangible. Only thing is, right now we are in a seller's market, and being that it's a seller's market, the properties that we're looking at, they are off the chain expensive. And that's not what we're trying to be for a young person, to have a mortgage that they wouldn't be able to afford in 5 years, you know.
But we need somebody to really help young people in the community purchase property and purchase homes. Mm-hmm. When you look at what's called economic viability, or when you look at how much wealth people have, most of the wealth in this country that people have
land and property
is through home ownership.
Yep.
Owning property.
Owning property.
And so if you don't own any property, my God, let's say you're spending $800 or $900 a month or $1,000 a month for rent. At the end of a year, you have spent $12,000 on rent.
Yeah.
And you don't have anything to show for it except a drawer full of rent receipts.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you spend 10 years and spend $12,000 on rent, that's $120,000. All you got is a drawer full of rent receipts.
Yeah.
But if you spend $120,000 on a mortgage,
you got equity.
You damn near own a house.
Absolutely.
You got $120,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or something worth $120,000, and it's probably worth more than that.
Right.
Because if you've kept it up, it's worth more than $120,000. You got more than $120,000 in equity.
Well, not to mention home ownership gives you the opportunity to have an asset. You know, a home is an asset. Part of this financial literacy that I teach, put that back out there again, is the understanding of assets and liabilities. Far too often, our liabilities outweigh our assets, right? And once we start to think of in terms of how do we collect more assets for ourselves, then we could figure out how to utilize those assets to create leverage for ourselves in order to create more money for ourselves. And so that's one of the things that I also teach. We talk about finances and things like that.
And that's also part of making money for millennials.
Yeah.
We're not going to just start with home ownership or the investment property ownership. We're going to go into, you know, what DeAndre does well. He's very well, how would I say, versed in the stock market.
You can be on Section 8. You can have a Section 8 certificate and purchase yourself a home. That Section 8 certificate. You just got to take the time.
Yeah.
You got to
create
the information.
I never knew that.
Oh, yeah. They have a home ownership program that people on Section 8 can purchase a home.
Diana, you had something to say?
Oh, no, and that's real interesting information.
Yeah, right.
Powerful information.
That I think that in itself is worth going to pursue. So if that begs the question, then, if that is possible, how come more people in our communities that are Section 8 certificate holders, how come they don't have more property?
They won't learn how. They won't take the time to do it. They won't find themselves a realtor that they trust, and they won't do what's necessary to make it happen. That's like there are a lot of people missing money right now because they just won't take the time to pursue it.
Time is money. Money is time.
They won't learn how to get it.
You trying to say something, Sauce Pack?
So firstly, I think that's kind of a loaded question to be asking.
We can't barely understand you. You sound kind of muffled.
I said I think that's a loaded question to be asking the congressman. And I think that's because you're challenging him on another person's information. Like everybody on this phone, on this podcast just said, hey, I didn't know that. Like, and I just learned something about what Northwest Austin Council do in terms of helping people, first-time homeowners, get it. So now I understand a little bit about the value that they would provide. If I knew about something like that, right, I probably would come there more often myself, get antiquated with what's going on, and then have that same type of opportunity like Steve. So when you say, maybe the information just isn't widely available. Me myself, I don't think about buying a home because I witnessed my parents renting for years. So it never was something that made me say, hey, let's go buy a home. I understand all the advantages and the tax breaks, but if I don't know where to go for the information, it's very hard. So, that's why I like this podcast. Thanks for having me on again. Because I think that's some information I definitely, now I want to take a trip to the Northwest Austin Council and see how they can help me as a first-time home buyer, maybe looking to buying a home.
And we're about to do something that's probably very, very dramatic. We're about to get into, what container homes are? Have you heard of those container homes?
Sir. No, sir.
Well, container homes they're literally properties that are built from old or used containers that come from over, that they put on ships and they bring all the cargo over. But if you stack those and weld those and put them together in a certain format, you can literally build a house that would have a footprint of 40 by 20 or 40 by or 8. You can make it 80 feet long if you really want.
Cargo miniums is what they
But
call
I think the answer in terms of the
housing
question is that people used to have more desire to know who didn't know. I used to teach GED. I mean, the way I really got attuned to what was going on in this whole business of helping people to do things, I taught GED for people who wanted to learn stuff that they did not know and had a wonderful time. That's how I ended up deciding to run for office. And the whole shot was through teaching GED and understanding that there were people who wanted to live differently than what they were living.
Right.
People who wanted to get a better job. People who wanted to go to college. People who wanted to make life better for their children. If you don't want any of those things, then it's pretty hard. I'm saying nobody can do this for you. You have to want this stuff for yourself. And if you don't want it, well, you just don't want it.
Yeah.
And you probably will never get it.
Yeah.
So if you can help motivate people,
Mm-hmm.
if you can help stimulate people, if you can help activate people, you're helping them do that.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're not motivated to want to change the quality of their lives,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to be able to change it for them.
Right.
And I think we deal with that more often than not, right? And you as a congressman and as a representative in many different offices, how did you deal with trying to motivate, activate, stimulate individuals?
By, first of all, trying to show them. I appreciated the answer you gave earlier about your life and what you do, because you told the truth. You see, there are a lot of people who lie a lot. There are people who just don't tell the truth about whatever. And so if you don't start from the truth, there's a young lady running against me. She says she's running, but she's a big liar. And so she lie a lot. She just lie. And there are people who, brother had a poem, gullible, naive, we practice to deceive, and we'll go for anything. And so there are people who, because they don't know any better, and they generally are not taught how things really work. I mean, if you're courting, if you see a person that you want to court, you gotta put your best effort forward. So when I used to go out dating, I didn't put on the worst looking stuff I had. I mean, when I used to go see my girlfriend when I was a teenager,
Sharp as a tack.
I take a bath and slick my hair down, spray some deodorant on and stuff, and shine my shoes, and go walking down the road.
Come with your A game.
Whistling, yeah. I'm saying, if you want to change things, then you've got to do what's necessary. But everything starts with self. Everything begins with me. If it's to be, let it begin with me. And if I'm not doing it, ain't no point in me trying to get nobody else to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Y'all go to church.
Yeah.
Well, when the last time you went? Oh, I don't. I don't do that.
I know, right?
No, y'all go. You go. That's why I appreciated my parents, because they didn't try to get us to do things that they didn't do. I thought my daddy was the workingest man the good Lord ever put on the face of the earth. But he didn't say, you boys go do this. He said, come on, boys, let's go do so and so and so. And so we didn't mind doing it. That's where I got my work ethic from. I work every day. I work. If I didn't make a dime, I'd be working. If I didn't get paid a quarter, 50 cents, I would be working. When I quit working, I'll probably be doing the same stuff I do when I'm working.
Say, I don't know how to turn it off.
Working on be doing what I was doing when I was working.
I mean, why not? I mean, what am I gonna do? Sit around and look up in the sky?
Can you hear Miss June?
And fall off the face of the earth, Yeah.
Or just be?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do this. I ain't gonna do that. they ain't paying me enough. So who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the things. So I was wondering, it's in similar fashion, but not all the way there, because somebody got to give me a nickel, dime, quarter, something. But I've never wanted to work for money, so to speak, right? Like I want to work to be better. I want to better myself, better my skills, and I know that the better I get at being able to deliver, the money will come, right? So
I quit
I'm
my
always
job
challenged.
making more money when I started teaching school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When I started teaching school, I had already I quit in October. School teachers were making $5,350 a year. I had already made $6,600 that year.
Hold on.
And so I quit that job.
What? You
It
said
started
$5,350 a year? Jeez,
that's what they was making.
When were you teaching?
In Chicago. No, I was in Chicago, the Chicago Public Schools. I was a certified Chicago public school teacher.
Wow. And it was $5,350 was the yearly
$5,350.
That's crazy.
That's what. Now I had a job offer where I lived before I came to Chicago to teach, and the salary was going to be $2,700 a year, plus $300 to coach the junior high basketball team.
The calculator in my head ain't adding up right. Did you just say 2,700? Wait, okay, you did say 53. Oh, that's crazy. But I mean, things was different then, I suppose.
Well, it was worth more than that, but it wasn't. You
Right,
wasn't
it was
gonna get
worth
rich.
right. That's crazy.
But you wasn't gonna get rich.
Of course not. I couldn't see how.
School
So
teachers
what is that?
weren't gonna get
600
rich.
a month?
Not even
6 times, that's 30. No, less than that.
Man, 50.
No, well, money don't get everything is true. That's what the blues singers say. But what it don't get, I can't use.
Okay.
You say your loving give me such a thrill, but your loving don't pay my bill because I need money.
That's what oh, come on. I thought it was up.
Yeah,
I thought it was
a lot of money.
$441 a month.
Oh man, that's that's amazing though to go from there to here. I mean, to see the advancements in all of the different periods. It's just amazing. Look, I'm gonna give you flyers while you're here. I believe you're a living legend. Absolutely a living legend. You've gone through a lot of periods, and being here for me is a privilege because I get to learn, right? And how many people get to sit with a congressman all cool like this? They're not, so I'll give you flowers while you're here.
But you know what? We just want, what we really like to do is get a lot of younger people.
Yeah.
And we use this word young very loosely. I mean, to me, if you're alive, you're young. So
yeah,
if we get people just to get involved with understanding what a congressman does in their district, just to know that there are opportunities and things that you can reach out to the congressman that's for your own benefit or for the people in that's constituents in the district.
Yeah.
So I mean, we got to get people to understand and learn about what's out there for them.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing about public policy making is that everything you want to do, there's somebody else who want to do just the opposite. And you got to keep your push on to keep them. For example, the progress that African Americans have made in this country. There are people who want to take that back. A lot of them. I ain't talking about a few. There are a lot of them.
Right.
Who want to take that back. African Americans, for example, in this country, should be clamoring to help the people in Haiti because the Haitians taught us how to try to get free.
50 years before the
The
Emancipation
Haitians
Proclamation.
taught us how to try to get free.
No disrespect to the Haitians, but what are they doing for us today?
The Haitians or the government.
Mm-hmm.
The government is not going to do anything for us beyond what we force it to do
I hear that.
and what we make it do.
Mm-hmm.
If we left it up to somebody else to get something done for us, we would be out there at Burroughs or something.
I hear that. I hear that. I hear that.
And so
6 feet.
it's the extent to which we push and be a part of a collaborative, a collaboration that makes the government work in our best interest, no matter what government we're talking about, whether it's the city government. For example, there are people angry about state redistricting. If you read the newspaper today, Sun-Times, the Chinese community in Chicago, the Asian community, but really built around Chinatown, they want a new city council map drawn in such a way that an Asian American, basically a Chinese American, can be elected alderman to represent Chinatown.
Is that an issue?
Yes.
Okay, you got to break it
It's
down.
an issue for them. It's a big issue.
Well, that's an issue for them. I'm saying, but
I'm saying if you read today's Sun-Times, it's expressed as a big issue for the Asian community. They are saying, rather than draw a map that only will put a few of us, put all of us together in one ward, not just have us in the 25th ward, in the 12th ward, in the 11th ward. Put all of us in the same ward so that we could elect
an Asian American, a representative from our community. So that is not unique, because I've seen a different article referencing Inglewood, how Inglewood would rather be a community that isn't divided so that they can have one, if possible, two representatives. The same thing for Austin, right? Now we're facing 77,000, where we once had 110 or so. That was when we had 110. We only needed two representatives.
But let me just say, there's a difference between a community area, and an ethnic group. I'm saying there are people who are saying they'd like to have their community in one ward. That's cool. But that's a little different than an ethnic group saying we'd like to have our ethnicity
represent us
in one area.
But so is it? I get that, because that's almost like a segregationist practice where you're trying to rid people and make sure that only a certain type of person is in a certain place. But I don't see the difference between that and Little Village, for example. If Little Village was enough of a community area where they could have their own ward and a Latino representation, I don't see
the difference is that all the people practically who live in Little Village are Latino. All of the people who live in Austin, for example, are not necessarily Black.
They're not, right? Absolutely.
I'm saying, and I don't have any problem with community areas to the extent possible, trying to be one community. I mean, I'm saying there used to be the community pride. I'm saying people would be proud to say, I live in Austin.
Absolutely.
Proud to say,
I live in Humboldt Park.
I live in Humboldt Park. I live in North Lawndale. I live in Lakeview. I live in Rogers Park. Or I live wherever. But I'm saying I see that as being a little different than an ethnic group saying, put all the Chinese
right
in
here.
one area.
I get that.
And so there are going to be some serious arguments before the redistricting is done. I mean, there are Latinos who are saying there are more Latinos in the city of Chicago than there are African Americans.
According to the census, absolutely. Yep.
So why would there be more
African
American members of the city council than Latino members of the city council when there are more Latino people in the city of Chicago than there are African American people?
I mean, what's the difference between population and votes, though? You know?
Well, but I'm saying things don't start on whether or not you vote. They kind of start on whether or not your population.
Right? I know. If I was speaking to the group, I would say that it's a difference between population and votes, because I recognize that that's part of the issue is them having the population but may not have the votes.
But now, if you have the population and do not vote,
right? That's what I'm getting at.
That
what you expect?
It's the difference. The census makes the difference.
Yeah, the census did.
Population representation.
Yeah,
the Latino community doesn't fully get counted.
Well, I will say this. I'm gonna also say this too. The same can be said for the African American community, but as a person who was beating the streets for the census, I was having a hard time getting either Latino or African American to really want to sign up for the census. And all I kept saying was, look, just give me, all I need is your name, how many people live here, and your address, and I'm gone. And a phone number if you want to leave that. And I'm gone. And I can't do that for you, sir. You're gonna have to come back. I went to the same house 4 times in a row. Well, these people gonna pay me to do it, then I'm gonna keep doing it. I say that to say, regardless of that, Latino population rose by at least 5 to 7%. The African American community dropped by 9 to 11% here in Illinois. So the Latino population is second now, and the African American population is third. So even if no matter whose representation wasn't counted right, the numbers shake out that way. That's what it looks like now, and that's what the numbers say.
I think that was misunderstood. I was not saying that I disagreed with the representation we now have. I was merely stating that the census is what makes the difference. And I too, and a group of us actually, the group of the Las Damas, were out there beating the streets too to get that census, and we're bilingual. Okay, not every single one of us, but most of us are bilingual. And we went straight day after day, week after week, out there to get the census. And, people, I know that you may not get the count, amongst the Black community as well as you'd like to, but literally, when you work in the Latino community and you're trying to get something like the census, you don't know, and you yourself don't know someone's status. You can't tell it by looking at them. You can't even tell it by talking to them sometimes. So, when people tell us in our community, oh, I already took the census, or that they don't want to do the census, you leave it at that. But, it's not something, census is not something that we voluntarily give up, because, you never know when the government's going to change the rules. And this is how the community feels. You don't know when the government will change the rules and say, okay, give up all those names and addresses that were taken at the census because we want to,
enforce ICE and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's a little bit tougher, no matter, I can hear the statement that Congressman is saying, or I'm not sure if it was you, DeAndre, that the numbers are bigger, the population is bigger, but the representation doesn't match it. And that is perfectly accurate.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and again, it's no different than the African American community. I mean, I was in a race in 2019 with.
You could be deported?
Huh?
You could be deported?
Look, these people can do whatever they want to do to us. They've been doing it a long time. But in all seriousness,
all right.
But no, seriously. But in all seriousness, of course, we're not facing deportation. But I meant speaking to the last statement in terms of like just the voter representation. I was just talking about the fact that even in a community of 55,000, you might only have 100 people that vote. I'm just speaking about the voting part. So the other part I was just joshing around with, but still. I'm with you. Look, this government can do whatever they want to do if so long as we ain't telling them what to do, like Congressman said. So Haiti today, black people tomorrow, Latinos after that. We gotta be careful.
So we coming upon the 8 o'clock hour.
Oh yes, sir. I'm sorry.
It was a good conversation.
Oh, thanks, Diana. Well, since we have you, since we are at the 8 o'clock hour, I do want to say this again. We do this every Sunday from 6 to 8. Man, we got the illustrious Congressman Davis. We got Steve Robinson, myself, DeAndre Rudis. You can check us out on various channels. We have the Facebook, the YouTube, the Zoom. Today it wasn't working proper, but we're going to get that together at some point. I promise you, technology still is technology at the end of the day. And so while we're wrapping up, we typically like to take it out, have all our people that's watching on various platforms or whatever to give a closing statement, and just leave us with something good. So first, I'm going to call on Diana to do that. So give us something, Diana. What's up?
You put me on the spot. Thank you, Congressman Davis. Closing statement is best thing I heard here was about Section 8 and the possibility of people with poor credit scores purchasing homes. It's something I'm going to look up with a realtor friend so she can tell community members who are being forced out of Belmont Cragen now to take a look at. So thank you for that information, Congressman. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
all right.
I thought that was awesome as well. So I'm going to go to the Zoom. But I'm going to go ahead and cut it up. I see Tiny right on the screen. Tiny? Tiny?
Go ahead, Tiny.
Tiny?
Are you there?
Can you hear us?
What about Barry?
What did you say?
I don't know.
He just wants you to close out.
Give me something to close out with.
Hello?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead and give me something to close out with.
Can't hear you.
Hold on.
Well, hey, Barry, while we trying to get that together.
Can't hear you.
Feedback's crazy. Go ahead.
What'd you say?
Oh, okay. Can you hear me, Barry?
Nope. They
I don't know.
It's in and out and out and in.
All right. Well, Congressman, what you got?
Well, the only thing that
Wait, what is?
you know is that we've got to make sure, and it's hard to be organized and to organize with the pandemic, and so there's nothing more important than.
DeAndre was just saying something to me.
Oh no. Hey, Barry. Hold on, Barry, can you hear me?
And I think it's Monday for you.
Oh my God, Barry, can you hear me?
Saw that we were in there.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're probably the only ones sitting down.
Yo.
Yeah, just you and.
Am I muted?
There we go.
Yo, hey, Barry.
Yeah.
Okay, so Barry and Tiny, we do see you're the only two. So we'd like to wrap up with having the guests say something. So give us something. Barry, you first, and then Tiny.
I can't understand you. Yeah, good.
Wait.
All right. Then.
Wait, go ahead. Say again. Can you hear now, Barry?
I said I couldn't understand you, DeAndre.
Wait, can you? Are you able to hear me now? Can you hear me, Barry? Yep. You know what?
It's fading in, fading out.
Yeah, that's the connection. It's not going to work. Let's go, Congressman.
Well, the only thing I do is say, it's always a pleasure to be a part of this discussion.
Yes, sir.
And we have to just wade our way through the pandemic, try and make sure that we're doing all that we can do to try and get rid of it. So we get back to a state of what is called normalcy.
Yes, sir.
And things can come back in regular order. And so I hope and pray that we'll be able to do that. It's hard to evaluate things while the pandemic is in play.
Yeah.
And so we have to wear our masks, get all the shots we can get. Everywhere I go, we try and make sure that people get vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
And we thank the scientists for the hard work they're doing to try and help us come up with a solution to the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, we do the best we can, keep on going.
Yeah.
And hope things work out all right.
Yeah. I've been seeing that two things that I've been seeing. One is that you have a bunch of A-listers, celebrities that are calling on various forms of government to make sure that they start to get the vaccine proliferated throughout the rest of the world. I know that we here in First World America have the ability to have this vaccine and in some respects the ability to even turn it down, whereas other people around the world are still struggling mightily and haven't even received as many as a tenth of the doses that we have. And so I see A-listers fighting for that. I also see Pfizer saying that we should be back to normal sometime around next year. So, hey, like the congressman said, if you ain't vaccinated, get vaccinated. If that's not your thing, stay away from people. I don't know what else to tell you. What you got, Steve?
I want to say, we had a great show. We really didn't get to the nitty gritty of what it takes to build community, because this is what we really have to start doing. We got to come up with solutions. We got to start walking the walk after we talk the talk. And we got to do it in little small phases. And I think Sauce Pack got me started again, because part of building community is exactly what NAC did when they brought me on 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. We started with trying to regentrify people, regentrification through home building, getting buying process. Yep. And I know Claiborne Wade said that, it's how can you buy these homes, because everything in Austin is $400,000. But you know what? I honestly think it's going to stabilize, and it's not going to stay at 400. And if there's 400 for a 3-unit, hey, that means the rents are worthy of having that 3-unit.
So the folks really undervaluated my house because they said,
right? Say one thing ain't going for 400.
They didn't. I got somebody told me that my house was worth about $200,000.
Man, look. So you got a congressman that's worth $200 right there. So I'm looking to rent a place that right around the numbers that you mentioned, $900, and the sheer fact that the utilities in there are not upgraded. This is 2021 renters. Landlords. Come on, man. Damn, upgrade it.
They got fuses, huh?
Man, upgrade your spots, man. If you want somebody to pay premium prices, I get rent, I get taxes, but put some stuff in there, man. Ain't nothing but a few more extra dollars. Dang.
At least give you a regular light switch with a on and off, not this push button stuff from 1938.
Man, come on, upgrade your places, man. That being said, man, listen. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, I do financial literacy education. I have created several courses. One, a 9-hour course. One is a 3-hour course. 9-hour course is about $250. The 3-hour course is $100. Right? That again. That's community rate. You're going to have to take some money to make some money. So Don't come at me sideways, but I want to teach you. So, connect with me if you need that education. I've been doing this 8 years. And as I mentioned, we do this every Sunday, 6 to 8. We have these conversations. We're trying to build solutions. This is for our community. Westside people talking Westside things. You can see us on the YouTube. You can see us on the Facebook. You can see us on the Zoom whenever it's acting proper. And, you can catch us and just have this wonderful conversations with us as we do every week. So for myself, the youngest old man in the building, Congressman David Steve Robinson, as always, we like to thank y'all for allowing us to welcome you to Northwest Austin Council. And like I always say, man, in closing, look, they didn't want to give us a seat at the table, so we had to create our own. Thank you. Good night, all. Thanks for tuning in. It's been a long day.
Bring your lunch.